Let us welcome to the anchor desk here someone who may know something about the Tea Party, who certainly had an influence with the Tea Party and the Republican Party. He's conservative activist and orthodontist Dr. Larry Kawa. Larry, it's always good to have you here on America's Forum. The whole Charlie Crist identity change, and now to blame it on the Tea Party. Do you buy that?
Of course not. Those who supposedly kidnapped his party also apparently kidnapped his values. He's also changed from being pro-life to pro-choice and many other things, from against gay marriage to being in favor of gay marriage. Regardless of what side you are on those issues, he doesn't know what side he's on. He has no core values, and the Tea Party didn't change those views within the mind of Charlie Crist.
Well, getting in the mind of both candidates, and I know last night's debate is the focus, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about that prior debate, the so-called fan gate, where Governor Scott delayed his entry. We see the polls now are neck and neck. Did the fan incident hurt the incumbent?
I think that it did, but I think there's time for him to heal. I think that most people who were, I was watching it with a bunch of people, including my friend Jeff Atwater, and most of us in the room felt that it made a little bit of a dent, but as time goes by, I'm sure that will quickly heal because he's a great governor.
Now, big question last night about the minimum wage. One point of real disagreement. Charlie Crist was asked about what would you say to people who got laid off, and his answer was, well, we just got to change minimum wage. It's always been my experience that for whatever reason, minimum wage support is there across the board. Is this another hurdle for Governor Scott, or will he be able to play it in terms of the job creation on his watch?
I think that it's a hurdle that's incumbent upon all Republican candidates to be able to explain the rationale for why minimum wage is something that raising it is a job killer. There are ways you could raise the minimum wage by virtue of government involvement, but you can't mandate a minimum number of jobs. And if you learn from the lessons learned from laboratories of socialism like Western Europe, where their minimum wage has historically been 50% greater than our minimum wage, it has served as a job killer, and they come begging us for help, a capitalistic society, and they are a socialistic society that mandates a minimum wage much higher than our own.
So in terms of the issues, for Rick Scott, it comes down to jobs, 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 making his case to the voters. But in terms of a victory, it's turnout, turnout, turnout. Now, in a couple of minutes here, you're on the front lines of this. Do Florida Republicans have in place the right plan to maximize turnout for the midterms?
You know, it's really difficult to call that. I know it's a razor-thin margin between who's going to win between Rick Scott and Charlie Crist, and it's a really difficult. It's a coin toss. It's really going to be a reflection of the abilities of Floridians to decipher what's right and what's wrong for the state of Florida.
And with this going on, if you were to have a few minutes with Governor Scott and just say, Governor, here's the way I see it. Here's what I would do in the campaign. What would be the Dr. Kawa prescription for victory in a couple of weeks?
I'd say the ability to have great messaging, to connect with the average Joe six-pack, to explain that he feels the pain of the average Floridian, to articulate his message of specifically how he's going to create more jobs, to have an ability to communicate that message in a manner that the average Floridian can really relate to, and he can look them in the eye and say, my plan has worked, my plan will continue to work, and Charlie Crist lost 800,000 jobs, and under my watch we've gained 600,000 jobs. Which is it that you want?
And with about 40 seconds remaining, we know you're a man of science, an orthodontist by training. We know that political science is the ultimate oxymoron, but we're going to ask you to gaze into your political crystal ball. What will be the outcome in this midterm gubernatorial election in Florida?
If I had to bet either way, I'd bet with 51-49, I'd give it to Governor Scott because of my confidence in the people of Florida and their ability to decipher who is better to lead this great state.
Dr. Larry Kawa, we appreciate your insights and analysis. Do you agree with what the good doctor had to say? Why don't you tweet me your comments at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum.